Hello students, we have been talking about the elements and characteristics that make the mystery literature, and today we are going to explore all these elements, all these characteristics through a discussion of the story The Key by Satyajit Ray. So let's talk about this writer first. Satyajit Ray is known for his contributions to Indian literature and cinema, and when we talk about this story, The Key, actually this is a captivating mystery that takes readers on a thrilling journey through the streets of Calcutta. It was originally written in Bengali and later translated into English. This story actually showcases Ray's masterful storytelling and keen eye for details. So let's have a look at the setting of the story first. This story is set in post-independence India. This follows the adventures of Feluda, a brilliant detective, and his young cousin Tapesh. So I would like to mention here that Feluda, he is a fictional character that has been created by Ray, much like Sherlock Holmes that has been created by Arthur Conan Doyle. So moving ahead, let's talk about the plot of the story. This is actually a complex case because it's a mystery. It has to be like a puzzle that involves a stolen key. Then Feluda is called upon to investigate and find out that key that has been lost. Then Feluda and Tapesh encounter a cast of intriguing characters. One thing again I would like to mention here, that in a mystery we actually meet enigmatic characters, and in this story also we have certain characters who are very suspicious, full of suspense. So we have a renowned film director, a reclusive writer, and a shady art dealer. If we talk about the key themes, we have themes of friendship, loyalty, and the power of knowledge. Let's move ahead to the major characters that we encounter in the first chapter of this story that we are going to discuss today. We have Feluda. He is a skilled detective. Then we have Topshe, Feluda's cousin, assistant, and also the narrator of this story. We have Moni Mohan Samadar. Then Radha Raman Samadar, who is Moni Mohan's late uncle. Then Dharnidhar, Radha Raman's grandson. So these characters are introduced in the first chapter of this story, The Key. Now time to read. We'll explore the first chapter that is going to lead us to further chapters. Feluda himself had a pair of sharp eyes, didn't wear glasses, and could stare at any object for 3 minutes and 15 seconds without blinking even once. So here the first character, that is the detective Feluda, is being introduced. Following we have other characters. We were traveling with a man called Moni Mohan Samadar. So here V stands for Feluda and his cousin Tapshe that we have talked about, and they both are traveling with a third character, that is Moni Mohan Samadar. We had met Moni Babu only yesterday. Now moving ahead to the description of this character Moni Mohan Samadar. He wore glasses, was about 50 years and had sharp features. The hair around his ears had started to turn grey. It was in his Fiat that we were travelling to a place called Bamungachi, which was a suburb of Calcutta. So this paragraph actually sets the tone of other paragraphs, and the setting of the story here is a suburb of Calcutta, and 3 characters are being introduced in this passage. So let's move ahead now. He had turned up quite out of the blue in the afternoon as Feluda and I sat in our living room reading. I had been watching Feluda reading a book on numerology. It was a book about Dr. Matrix. Feluda caught me looking at him and smiled. You would be astonished to learn the power of numbers and the role they play in the lives of men like Dr. Matrix. Actually, students, this paragraph also tells us more about this detective Feluda. He has keen eye for details and is interested in numerology. I am focusing on this part because this skill of Feluda as a detective would help him unravel the mystery surrounding the stolen key. So listen to this. It was a discovery Dr. Matrix made. You know the names of the two American presidents who were assassinated, don't you? So now he is conversing with his cousin. Yes, Lincoln and Kennedy. Right. Now tell me how many letters each name has. So see his analytical skills here. He is breaking the name Lincoln and Kennedy and he has decoded that these two words composed of 7 letters each, like L-I-N-C-O-L-N 7, K-E-N-N-E-D-Y also 7. Okay, now listen carefully. Lincoln was killed in 1865 and Kennedy died in 1963. Now he is drawing similar parallel between the death years of these two presidents. Let's see how. A little less than 100 years later, both were killed on a Friday and both had their wives by their side. So these are the qualities of a keen observer, an analytical detective, that is Feluda. Lincoln was killed in the Ford Theatre. Kennedy was killed in a car called Lincoln, manufactured by the Ford company. So see the associations that he is drawing between the killing and the assassination of these two presidents, how they are interconnected. The next president after Lincoln was called Johnson, Andrew Johnson. Kennedy was succeeded by Lyndon Johnson. The first Johnson was born in 1808, the second in 1908, exactly 100 years later. So the count of 100 years that Feluda is highlighting here. Now let's talk about the guest, Mr. Moni Mohan Samadar, who has come to solve a mystery and he is taking help of this detective, that is Feluda. Now Mr. Samadar arrived without a prior appointment. You may have heard of my uncle, Radha Raman Samadar. So now this is a new character, Moni Mohan Samadar's uncle, Radha Raman Samadar. Yes, he was 82 when he died. I am not surprised that you hadn't heard of him. When he gave up singing, you must have been a young boy. He retired 15 years ago and built a house in Bamangachi. That is where he lived, almost like a recluse. So this is the characteristic of the uncle, that he was not a socialite. He was living a life of solitude and he was living away from all his relatives until his death. He had a heart attack on 18 September and died the same night. So this information is being shared by Moni Mohan Samadar. My uncle was different from other men. He was actually a lawyer and he made a lot of money. So we get to know that his uncle was an affluent person. He was a lawyer and he's sharing more details about his uncle. But he stopped practicing when he was about 50 and turned wholly to music. That means the uncle was passionate about music. He didn't just sing, he could play 7 or 8 different instruments, both Indian and Western. Students, all this information is actually relevant because these will be connected to the loose ends at the end of the story. Why is he interested in all these instruments and how does this interest help him in hiding something? So I'm not going to reveal the secret here, but yes, try to focus on these highlighted terms. I myself have seen him play the sitar, the violin, piano, harmonium, flute and the tabla besides others. He had a passion for collecting instruments. So he was also passionate about collecting instruments. In fact, his house had become a mini museum of musical instruments. So this is something We can say something strange, that he is not only passionate about music, he is passionate about collecting the musical instruments. Which house do you mean? He had started collecting before he left Calcutta. Then he transferred his collection to his house in Bamungachi. He used to travel widely looking for instruments. Once he bought a violin from an Italian in Bombay. Only a few months later, he sold it in Calcutta for 30,000 rupees. So here we are getting more information about the monetary value of the musical instruments, and the uncle is buying and selling musical instruments. That means he is accumulating money. And we are going to draw inferences that this nephew of his is more interested in this money. Hence, he has approached Feluda to unravel the key to this treasure. There were a lot of positive qualities in his character that made him different from most people, but at the same time, there was an overriding negative factor which eventually turned him into a recluse. Here, Moni Mohan is referring to his deceased uncle. He was amazingly tight-fisted. That means he did not give away his money in charity, and he always kept his money to himself. The few relatives, he has stopped seeing him because of this. He didn't seem to mind, for he wasn't particularly interested in staying in touch with them anyway. And now the family tree. Let's talk about this now. He had 3 brothers and 2 sisters. So he had a big family. The sisters and 2 of his brothers are no more. The 3rd brother left him 30 years ago. No one knows if he is alive. Radharaman's wife and only child, a son called Murlidhar, are both dead. Murlidhar's sons, Dharnidhar, is his only grandchild. Radharaman was very fond of him once, but when he left his studies and joined a theatre under a different name, my uncle washed his hands off him. I don't think he ever saw him again. So, one thing is to be noticed, this information about the uncle is being shared by his nephew, and we don't know whether this is correct or incorrect. We'll explore more about this in the further chapters. My father was one of his elder brothers. Now here, my refers to the nephew who has approached Feluda to solve this death mystery. He died many years ago, I see. And is Dharnidhar still alive? Yes, but I believe he has moved on to another group and is now doing a jatra. I tried contacting him when my uncle passed away, but he wasn't in Calcutta. Someone told me he was off on a tour, traveling through small villages. He is quite well known now in the theatre world. He was interested in music too, which was why his grandfather was so fond of him. So he's sharing about Dharnidhar, how he is also fond of music, and hence the grandfather was fond of Dharnidhar. Now we have another character. My uncle's neighbor, Abani Babu, telephoned me when he had a heart attack. I left immediately with Chintamani Bose, the heart specialist. So these are minor characters. My uncle was unconscious at first, but opened his eyes just before he died and seemed to recognize me. He even spoke a few words, but then it was all over. So here he is talking about the scene of the uncle's death and the presence of the heart specialist along with his nephew. Now Feluda is inquiring, what did the uncle say when he was dying? He said, now this is very important line, he said, in my name. Then he tried to speak but could not. After struggling for some time, he could get only one word out, ki, he said. So this is the catchword here. What is the key that the uncle was referring to? And hence, Moni Mohan has approached Feluda to find out this key that the uncle has been referring to when he was dying. I haven't the slightest idea which key he was referring to. His bedroom has an almirah and a chest. The keys to these were already kept in the drawer of a table that stood by the side of his bed. The house only has 3 rooms, barring a bathroom attached to his bedroom. There is hardly any furniture and almost nothing that might require a key. The lock he used on the main door to his bedroom was a German combination lock, which didn't work with a key at all. So the mystery lies behind this key. What did he have in the almirah and the chest? Nothing apart from a few clothes and papers. These were in the almirah. The chest was totally empty. That means there was no money in the chest. Did you find any money? No. I know he had a lot of money. So this is very important. The nephew is saying that he is aware that uncle had a lot of money, but where is that money? How else do you suppose he could afford to buy all these rare and expensive instruments? Besides, he didn't mind spending a great deal on himself. He ate well, wore specially tailored clothes, maintained a huge garden, and had even bought a second-hand Austin. So he had a lavish and luxurious lifestyle, and this could be managed only with the help of ample money that he had. But now where has that money gone? That is the secret, and hence we are trying to find out the key to that treasure. Do you understand why I had to come to you? Now, I here is Moni Mohan Samadar. What will the key unlock? Where has all my uncle's money gone? Which key was he talking about anyway? Shall we find any money or something else? Had he made a will? Who knows? If he had, we must find it. In the absence of a will, his grandson will get everything, but someone has to find out what that consists of. So lots of questions left after the uncle's death. I have heard such a lot about your intelligence and your skill. Will you please help me? Feluda was interested. Now, he is also interested as a detective because this is a strong mystery that he would love to explore and decipher. This was a new type of mystery, or perhaps it was more a puzzle than a mystery. That is what I thought at first. Later, I realized it was something far more complex than a mere puzzle. So, students, this first chapter actually introduces us to various characters and sets the tone of other following chapters. So, the characters that we come across are, now students, let's have a quick recap of all the characters that have been introduced in the first chapter of the story, The Key. First, we have Feluda, the main protagonist, a highly skilled detective with sharp observation and analytical abilities. He is calm, intelligent, and known for solving complex mystery. Next, we have Topshe. He is Feluda's cousin and assistant who often narrates the stories. So, he is the narrator of this story as well. Topshe admires Feluda's skills and accompanies him on his investigations. Third, we have Moni Mohan Samadar, a man who approaches Feluda for help in solving the mystery surrounding his uncle's death. He is concerned about the meaning of his uncle's final words and also the possibility of hidden wealth or secrets. Next, we have Radharaman Samadar. He is Moni Mohan's late uncle, a former lawyer who became a recluse. His death and final words actually spark the mystery. Last, we have Dharnidhar, Radharaman's grandson who left his family to pursue a career in theatre under a different name. And these characters will set the plot forward in the coming chapters. Now that we have discussed the first chapter, I have got these few questions for you as your task. We have to analyze the types of conflict in the story. We have talked about different types of conflict. That is a major element of mystery literature. So you have to find out which conflict do we find in this first chapter. Then, why do you think Radharaman Samadar was so concerned about the key? So you have to make inferences and predictions basis the story that we have read. How would you describe Radharaman Samadar based on the information provided by his nephew? And last and the most important, analyze the symbolism of the key in the context of the passage. Also, what might it represent beyond its literal meaning? So, think beyond the literal meaning of the word key. I am sure, student, you must have enjoyed this story and you must be interested in finding out the actual secret behind this key. So, looking forward to meet you in the next video and let's unravel this mystery surrounding the key. Till then, enjoy yourself. Happy learning.